Hey everybody, so it's Winnie from Stakecito, and today we're going to be talking about one project that is set to launch soon, and you've been waiting for your airdrops since pretty much last year. But before we talk about Namada, this is going to be a long one. I'm going to be talking about what Namada is, their phased out launch plan, their tokenomics, and so yeah, grab a cup of coffee or whatever. I'm warning you right now, it's gonna be a long one. So yeah, Namada is poised to address a significant challenge in the crypto space, which is the fragmentation of privacy. Now, in this context, fragmentation refers to the way that privacy guarantees are typically isolated within specific chains, assets, or applications, resulting in users maintaining privacy in one part of the ecosystem, but finding themselves exposed in another. And ultimately, what this does is it undermines the overall effectiveness of privacy guarantees. Now, to better understand this, consider privacy in crypto today, where we have protocols like Zcash. It's actually really funny. I was the head of marketing at Namada up until November when I left, and I also was the head of marketing for the Zcash Foundation a year or two before that. But anyways, we've got privacy protocols like Zcash and Monero that offer robust privacy features, but these features are limited to their respective native currencies and chains. For example, Zcash is designed to protect transactions of its native currency, ZEC, but this privacy is confined to ZEC and the Zcash network. If a user wanted to interact with another blockchain, they would have to leave the Zcash network, thereby losing the privacy protections that they had relied upon. The issue becomes even more pronounced in ecosystems like Ethereum, where privacy is fragmented not only by chain, but also by the specific decentralized applications and rollups that users engage with. So what does this mean? This means basically that a user might protect their identity with one dApp, but as soon as they move to another, they could be exposed if that dApp does not offer the same level of privacy as the dApp that they just exited. And so fragmentation occurs across both different dApps as well as the various assets used within them. Now, what Namada is doing or is aiming to do is to tackle this challenge with what they call its multi-asset shielded pool, or the MASP. Unlike traditional privacy protocols that confine privacy to specific assets, Namada's multi-asset shielded pool unifies all these assets, whether fungible tokens or non-fungible tokens like NFTs, into one single shielded set. And so, yeah, by aggregating various assets into one shielded pool, Namada creates a larger and more complex privacy set, making it much harder for observers to correlate transactions with specific users. The problem of fragmentation extends beyond assets and applications to include how privacy is maintained across different chains. Today, assets frequently move across various blockchains, each with its own privacy protocols and limitations. Namada's role as a privacy bridge between transparent and shielded chains allows it to support shielded transactions and application-specific chains, including the recently launched Penumbra. So Namada is IBC compatible, and you can connect to Ethereum via a native bridge that they've built. Now, Namada's approach to overcoming fragmentation goes beyond unifying assets within its multi-asset shielded pool. The protocol also addresses the challenge of privacy in cross-chain interactions and within dApps, or decentralized applications. One of Namada's key innovations is the introduction of shielded actions, which they say will allow users to interact with dApps on other chains while maintaining their privacy throughout the entire process. Now, to put this concept into something that you can visualize, consider a scenario where a user wants to trade Atom for Osmo on Osmosis, that, by the way, Namada will be integrating with. As far as I know, this was back when I was still there. Don't know if that's still the case today. With Namada, the user can simply transfer their Atom from Namada's shielded set to a transparent account on Osmosis, conduct the trade on Osmosis, and then move the resulting Osmo back into Namada's shielded set, all in a few steps. Throughout this entire sequence of actions, the user's identity remains protected, they say, as there is no direct correlation between the original and resulting asset that can be easily traced. Without these shielded actions, users are forced to expose themselves at multiple points in the transaction process, which could be exploited by those looking to de-anonymize their activities. It's actually really crazy. The crypto space today is almost worse than banks. It is worse than banks from a privacy standpoint. And yeah, shielded actions can also help address the problem of fragmentation within individual chains. On platforms like Ethereum, privacy mechanisms are often confined to specific applications, meaning that users must navigate different privacy protocols depending on the dApp they are using. Now, this not only complicates the user experience, but also reduces the overall effectiveness of privacy measures. And so, Namada's shielded actions streamline this process by providing a unified privacy layer that works across different chains and applications within Cosmos and Ethereum, allowing users to engage in cross-chain activities without sacrificing privacy. Now, let's talk about Mainnet, which I know is all we all care about. We've been waiting for quite a bit now. Namada has recently outlined its path to Mainnet, which, like I said, is expected to be launching any day. In this announcement, they have highlighted the importance of protocol stability as a critical objective. Once this level of stability is achieved, the next step will involve finalizing a Genesis block proposal, which will be published alongside instructions that allow the community to reconstruct the Genesis block generation process using input data. Now, following these preparatory steps, the mainnet launch will proceed through several phases, each designed to gradually enable different features of Namada. So it's important to note that on Genesis, you're not going to be able to buy and transfer, sell your tokens. It's going to be barely functional. Phase 1, dubbed the block party, will see the network activated without staking, public goods funding, or shielded set rewards inflation. And shielded set rewards are basically the rewards you get for using the protocol. During phase 1, only proof of stake and governance features will be enabled. IBC rate limits for all assets will be set to 0, meaning that while clients, connections, and channels can be created, no assets can be transferred. NAM transfers will also be disabled. Importantly, if any critical issues arise during this phase, there may still be an opportunity to reset the network. In phase 2, dubbed the staking party, staking, inflation, and PGF, or public goods funding inflation, will be turned on through a governance proposal. This phase will mark the beginning of network rewards and the gradual activation of economic incentives within the Namada ecosystem. They are calling phase 3 the shielding party, which will involve the slow raising of IBC rate limits for selected assets through a series of governance proposals. These assets, such as Atom, Osmo, and USDC, will be able to be transferred both transparently and within the multi-asset shielded pool. However, NAM transfers will remain disabled during phase 3 to ensure that the system can handle the increased activity without compromising stability. So like I said, it's a long way to transfers. In phase 4, shielded set rewards will be gradually turned on for selected assets through additional governance proposals. Now, at this point, all features of the Namada protocol will be operational, but NAM transfers will still be disabled. The network will continue to increase rate limits cautiously, ensuring that stability is maintained as more assets and features are brought online. Finally, we've got phase 5, tentatively named NAM, which will see the activation of NAM transfers, marking the final phase in the launch sequence. At this stage, the network will have fully operational features and the community will have the opportunity to utilize the complete suite of functionalities that Namada has to offer. Let's switch gears a bit now. Recently, the Anoma Foundation has released the Namada Protocol mainnet release candidate, and they've also published the proposed balances file. This file, once accepted by the Namada community, will be used to create and propose Namada's Genesis block. And so yeah, let's talk about NAM for a bit. NAM is the native token of the Namada protocol, and it plays several network functionality roles, including paying for transactions on the network. NAM is also staked by validators for network security as part of Namada's cubic proof of stake mechanism to secure the network. Now, I've already touched on shielded set rewards, and basically, NAM rewards users through shielded rewards for participating in the shielded set, incentivizing privacy-preserving behavior. NAM holders also have voting power in governance proposals that shape the future of the Namada protocol. And finally, NAM is used to fund contributors who work on initiatives that benefit the broader ecosystem. So yeah, now let's talk about its consensus mechanism. Namada employs cubic proof of stake as its Sybil resistance mechanism, with Comet BFT, or Tendermint as many know it, as its consensus mechanism. I'll call cubic proof of stake CPOS moving forward. Now, CPOS incentivizes validators to maintain network security by rewarding them for upholding the network's liveness. Validators and delegators are rewarded with NAM, with the amount of rewards determined by the total NAM staked and the maximum annual inflation rate. Something that some of you who are nerdy might find interesting is that CPOS uses a proportional derivative controller, or a PD controller, to dynamically adjust the inflation. To simplify this, for example, if the current stake ratio is below the target, inflation is increased to incentivize more staking. And if the ratio is above target, inflation is decreased. To participate in consensus, Namada validators must stake some NAM, and the protocol basically sets an upper limit on the number of validators that can participate at any given time. This consensus set is determined by the total amount staked, including both the NAM staked by the validator and any delegations that they receive. And so, yeah, the protocol basically ranks and selects the top validators by total stake. For example, if the limit is set to 100 validators, the top 100 by NAM staked will join the active set. And yeah, it's still similar to depots or delegated proof of stake in the sense that NAM holders who are not operating their own validators can still contribute to network security by delegating to validators. So hopefully when Namada launches, you'll come and stake with Stakecito. Now, as delegators, it's important to know that delegated NAM is also subject to slushing, meaning delegators should carefully research validators before staking with them. The Namada protocol also includes an on-chain governance mechanism that allows for future upgrades and changes to the protocol. Any NAM holder can submit a governance proposal after depositing a certain amount of NAM, and proposals are then voted on by NAM stakers with voting power proportional to their stake. By default, validators vote on behalf of their delegators, but delegators can override the validators' vote by voting directly. Now, public goods funding, which I will call PGF moving forward, is another mechanism within Namada where a percentage of the NAM minted is allocated to fund public goods that lack private profit motives but are critical to the ecosystem's development. These include funding for technical research, educational materials, and protocol improvements. PGF stewards, who are elected by the community, manage these funds and are responsible for submitting funding proposals. Now, let's talk about token allocations. So first we have the backers of the Anoma Foundation. This category includes institutional backers as well as angels who participated in Anoma's fundraisers in 2020, 21, and 23. This category is allocated 32% of the total NAM supply. Now, next is the early core contributors. This group consists of over 200 individuals who contributed to the Namada ecosystem's early development. Early core contributors are allocated 18.7% of the total NAM supply. And then next, we have protocol maintenance, research and development, ecosystem and community development is allocated 17% of the total NAM supply, public allocations for the retroactive public goods program. And the allocation for this group is 16% of the total NAM supply. Then we have public allocations for future RPGF programs, and this category is dedicated to tokens set aside for future retroactive funding programs aimed at research and development of the ecosystem, community, and application development. This category is allocated another 16%. And this is important. The total allocation across all these categories sums up to 100% of the NAM supply at Genesis, with a proposed total supply of 1 billion NAM tokens and no lockups. So all these NAM tokens will be in circulation at Genesis. Now, it is important to note that significant concerns have been raised by community members, including ZachXBT, regarding the proposed 100% supply unlock at the TGE, or token generation event, with no lockups. However, if the community accepts the proposed Genesis balances, this file could be used to create and propose Namada's Genesis block. And so far, there is ongoing conversations on the forums, which you can go and check out. But yes, that's pretty much where the blog posts are at as far as information on this is concerned. Now, if you've gotten this far into the video, what are your thoughts on NAM? Are you bullish? Are you planning on holding your airdrop? Are you going to sell it? Comment below. This, like I said, is probably my longest video yet. So that is all for today. Up until next time, have a good one.